excited to get Big Ten basketball started tonight on FS1 and sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee as the Maryland Terrapins are in town to take on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Alongside Jim Jackson, I'm Kevin Kugler. You got two teams tonight, Jim, going in opposite directions. Ohio State's lost 3 straight. Maryland, one of the hottest teams in college basketball, they've won 6 in a row.
I think 6 in a row. And this Maryland team surprising a lot of people around the country. This is the 5th youngest team in Division I. A lot of their production comes from those freshmen, but yet still Anthony Cowan and also Fernando inside are the anchors. And Ohio State have to play solid defense, figure out perimeter scoring to take some of the pressure off Caleb Wesson inside.
If you've not seen this Maryland team, you're going to really like this young squad. Our starting lineups are presented by Jeep, and Anthony Cowan in the backcourt, one of the best players in the Big Ten Conference. But I know you've got your eyes, surprisingly enough, on the big boys up front.
Yeah, I mean, physical presence, they remind you of each other, the energy, the ability to score down low. I think Wesson separates himself a little bit because he can step out and shoot jump shots, especially from behind the arc. But both players, Kevin, both players have a tendency to pick up early fouls. They can't do that. They mean too much offensively and defensively to their team. Yeah, the fouls have been a huge problem for Bruno Fernando. Only 21 minutes last time out against Wisconsin. He had 4 fouls in that game, and Caleb Wesson in the 3-game losing streak is averaging over 4 fouls per game. Both coaches saying to us today, we've got to keep these guys on the floor. Here we go with Ohio State in control. C.J. Jackson back in the starting lineup tonight in the backcourt. The 3 for Luther Muhammad, and Wesson with the first offensive rebound. Wesson waiting for traffic to clear, and he draws the foul on Jalen Smith. Well, that's just excellent position that time by Caleb Wesson to get up underneath Fernando inside, leverage him out just enough to get that rebound, and Smith a little late on the help, picks up the foul. Tough task tonight for Caleb Wesson. Not only do you have to deal with Bruno Fernando, but then say you've solved Bruno Fernando for a moment. Here comes Sticks, Jalen Smith flying into the picture. Well, he has to be smart, and he can't pick up those, ticky-tack fouls on the perimeter. If there's going to be a foul, it's going to be one inside, someone going up for a shot. So he has to play smart defensive basketball. All these bigs, good free throw shooters. So if they can stay out of foul trouble, they'll be on the floor all night. Well, and that's what you want, because in late game situations, you can trust that if you get the ball down low, that they get fouled, that they can get to the free throw line and convert. Here comes Eric Ayala. He's taken over running the team a little bit more for Maryland, allowing Anthony Cowan to play off the ball a little bit on the offensive side. Well, it allows Anthony to explore some freedom, especially when he runs his pick and roll. Here's Fernando. He wants to shoot it outside desperately. Coach Turgeon doesn't want him to. No. 3 to shoot. Got to hoist this one. Fernando hits it, and he's fouled. And you notice Bruno Fernando, right after he hits that shot, he looks over to the bench, pointing. Yeah, I can hit this jumper, Coach Turgeon. Well, I can hit this inside the 3-point line, but the help came, and you really didn't need to help right here because Fernando was off the post. That's where you want, force him to take that jump shot. Not a smart play that time by Andre Russell. First foul on Andre Wesson is Fernando, who has been so good in conference play, Jim. 26 of 30 at the foul line. Well, but talking to Mark Turgeon today at shoot-around, he talked about the will for this young man to get better. And one of the areas he had to improve is free throw shooting, and he worked extremely hard. It's paying dividends. Wesson one-on-one against Fernando. Now Smith will come to double. Rotation around. Woods for 3. He's going to get some of those looks. Caleb Wesson with another offensive rebound. And I think, too, early on, Caleb is aggressive at the offensive board, but Fernando Bruno doesn't want to pick up fouls. So right now, he's not really aggressively playing Wesson inside. Here's Ayala, turns it over. Wesson to Jackson. Good transition defense that time by Maryland to get back. Here's Jackson at the elbow. And that one got the kind roll. And I think that's huge for C.J. Jackson right now, because sometimes he does kind of fall back and not as confident. So for him to come out and make that first shot, to see it go through, is extremely beneficial to his confidence. Only other Buckeye averaging in double figures this year. Caleb Wesson, 16 points. C.J. Jackson, 13 points per game. They need him, though. Here's Cowan. The jump pass into the corner to Daryl Morsell. Morsell inside off the window. And Wesson the board. And good defense that time by Woods by going straight up, forcing Morsell to miss that shot. On the break, got deep in there. Keyshawn Woods had to get rid of it.
to Jackson. Wesson with the screen. Jackson with the three. And Smith the board. Already 3 rebounds for Caleb Wesson. He's got the early advantage in that post matchup. Looking for room. It's Morcell inside.
And Morcell that time aggressive. Used a little bit of his right shoulder to get Woods off balance, but it was a good no call by the official. Both players going hard. Morcell won that battle.
Veteran crew tonight, Jim. Terry Weimer, Lamont Simpson, Courtney Green. I'll let these guys play a little bit.
They will.
Shot clock at 10. Rotation around, trying to find some room to pull up for Muhammad, and Cowan the rebound.
But I like the move and I like the shot.
Tough pass ahead. Great catch in transition by Jalen Smith.
Well, you call football games, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How he gathered his feet not to travel and not to go out of bounds and able to catch and then have a soft touch to finish inside.
Call Mike Pereira. He'd tell us that he got both feet in bounds.
Exactly.
There's Wesson. Nice catch by Andre Wesson. Left that one a little short.
Yeah, a little off balance when he caught it. See if Maryland can take advantage in the secondary break.
There's Ayala around the Fernando screen with the three, and it rattles home. He's shooting 47% from behind the arc.
Well, think about this. The last 8 games, 50%, 53% from behind the three-point line. For a young freshman to have that confidence, that just shows you how much he believes in his game.
In that span, averaging over 11 points per game. Left in the corner for Wesson trying to answer. His brother tries to tip it to him, but Cowan now will bring it up the floor, trying to extend the 7-0 Maryland run. And this is what Maryland does. They have so much talent, and they're so confident. Cowan hasn't even gotten going yet, as the three won't go, and Caleb Wesson with another rebound.
Well, what you have with this Maryland team, you have 2 to 3 players that can just go get it, go get their own shot at any given time. And that's where the struggles with the Buckeyes, and particularly from the perimeter. Last year, Kata Bates D, I kind of bailed him out a lot of situations. Jayshawn Tate, they don't have 2 guys like that this year, so it makes it tough. They go on these scoring droughts.
Turnover for Ohio State. They'd missed 4 straight. Now a turnover. Ayala driving inside. A little spin, and Ayala left that one short. Can Ohio State get it going on the break? In transition, Muhammad. Little hesitation, and that gave Maryland a chance to get set up. Nowhere to go for Woods. There's Muhammad again, the freshman from New Jersey, trying to find room. 10 to shoot. Wesson with the screen. Woods with the pull-up too.
Yeah, big-time shot. A smart play that time by Wesson, knowing the shot clock was going down, to go out and set a screen, knowing the defense was going to lay back off of Woods because he hasn't been shooting well. But confidently, Keyshawn was able to step up there and knock in that shot.
First field goal in over 3.5 minutes for the Buckeyes. Cowan quiet so far. He averages almost 18 points per game for Maryland. Morcell with 7 to shoot on the attack. Had to force that one up through contact.
Yeah, but, you know, give Morcell credit, but that time Luther Muhammad came over, but he didn't put his body in front. And Morcell, to take away that drive, he was able to get a shot up.
Morcell not a big scorer, Jim, 8 points a game. He had a good night at Purdue. Scored 12 on the road there. As that one's tipped out of bounds, it'll stay with the Buckeyes, and a timeout in Columbus.
Much needed sight right here if you're a Buckeye fan. Keyshawn Woods with a nice little pull-up jump shot. Get his confident rolling. And on the opposite end, you do one, I can do one better. Morcell inside.
Ohio State shooting. They started 2 for 4. They're 1 for 5 since, but Chris Holtman's going to be pleased with what he's seen from Caleb Wesson early on.
Well, we talked about the battle of the big men inside. Really, in college sports, you talk about it, but these two go at it, and Caleb Wesson able to establish himself early on the offensive glass. You see an offensive rebound that picked up a foul, another one inside, able to finish. So Caleb established himself on the post inside early on. 4 points, 4 rebounds. Good start for Caleb.
Yeah, there's no question that Chris Holtman's going to be pleased with what he sees from Caleb Wesson, especially after the game at Iowa, where he was held to just 2 points, the second lowest scoring game of his career. He was scoreless against Purdue in his freshman year, but he was really a non-factor in their loss to Iowa, one of the ugliest games of the year for Ohio State. Iowa really took them out of their game, dominated them in the paint. Without Wesson on the floor, Ohio State didn't have an answer. The three launched and hit with the shot clock winding down for Dwayne Washington.
Well, those kind of shots will help Caleb Wesson. Keep in mind, when you're guarding and defending a post player, it's a lot easier to get him out of the game because you can double team and get the ball out of his hands. You can lay back if the perimeter players are not making shots. So if the Buckeyes can spread the defense, that gives Wesson more room to operate inside.
Washington's already got the Ohio State record for a freshman. He hit 6 threes against Purdue Fort Wayne. But how about the answer for Sorrell Smith right off the Maryland bench?
Yeah, good ball movement that time and patience. Sorrell able to line up his feet and knock that in.
Young looking to drive, even Bender there to block him off. Woods to the elbow. Tough pull-up over Cowan. And a battle inside. A foul is called.
Well, the mark of a good team is being able to pass the ball on time, on target. And you see it Maryland in that half-court set. If you're a shooter, what you want is to catch the ball in that shooting pocket. And you have to take pride in passing the basketball because now that can lead to easy shots. Or if it's a bad pass, it takes away an open opportunity.
Inbound to Young. Back it goes to Woods. And Woods with the jumper on the baseline. They need him to get it going.
Well, more importantly, they need his aggressive nature. Right now, you see he's assertive. He's definitive in his movements. He's getting to his spots. And when he jumps up to release that jump shot, you can tell he's confident that it's going in.
Wiggins trying to reverse against Woods. Now Cowan.
Good help that time by Young on the pick and roll.
Cowan yet to score. 0 for 2 from the floor. The rebound to Dwayne Washington. Here's Woods again. Will he remain the aggressor? Into the corner, backing out for a three. Andre Wesson hits from deep.
And how about the presence of mind of Andre Wesson, knowing that C.J. Jackson was on the dribble drive, to space himself in the corner. If help occurred, now he would be open like we saw in the corner for that open jump shot.
Cowan, the penetration. Lindo trying to secure that pass, couldn't get it. Jackson will push it up the floor now to Woods. Woods, the bounce back to Jackson for 3. And Anthony Cowan already his 3rd rebound. Wiggins with the spin. And the left hand not going to go.
Like a good defense that time by C.J. Jackson.
Finds Washington open. He'll fire, not hit. Wesson the rebound. Second chance for Washington. This one won't go either.
And 2 good looks. The one in transition allows you to get an offensive rebound. Swung it back around, just unable to knock it down.
Not going to be unhappy for Chris Holtman, though, with either of those knocks for wide open. And a 3 coming from Aaron Wiggins.
I tell you what, these freshmen are growing for Maryland each day. The confidence is building. And talking to Mark Turgeon, he said, listen, I do things a little bit differently than I've done in the past. We switch up defenses. I ask more of this team. And the freshmen, because they listen, they're responding.
Yeah, he said, we've got a young team. I thought there was a great line. There's a lot of teaching that goes on, but I've got willing learners.
Yep.
You can be a great teacher, but if you don't want to learn, it's not going to matter. As C.J. Jackson with an offensive rebound, the 5th for Ohio State. And the Buckeyes and Terps tied at 18. There's Cowan, leading scorer, quiet so far. Nice lead by Bender to Smith, but he traveled with it. Some three-point shooting tonight in Columbus, Ohio.
And some guys benefiting off penetration. 3-ball corner pocket. I'll take it all day long. And not to be outdone, Wiggins, just 3 from me, give me 3.
Big Ten basketball on FS1 is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee. Time to peek into the huddle and find out what Chris Holtman is thinking about with Ohio State.
Be active on the ball. Okay? Be active and guard the ball right now. Off the ball, we can be in our gaps right now. Okay? We're moving it way too easy. We got to be more active. Shadow the ball, be more active.
You still want big rat on
Hey, Kevin, activity can disrupt the offense, whether that's a deflection. You want to kind of stymie the timing of the offensive team. And when you're active on the ball, you take away those free passes that open up to open shots or being able to catch somebody cutting to the hole. So that's the mantra. That's what Coach Chris Holtman wants his defense to pick up.
Coach Holtman's expanded his rotation a little bit over the last few games. Justin Arns, who had 6 points at Iowa the last time out, he checks in here for the first time tonight as C.J. Jackson works his way to the rim for an easy two.
Well, a little hesitation, but let's go back to that first jump shot. You see it go in, the confidence builds. Now your game feels a lot better. You feel more confident. Now you're able to contribute a little bit more on the offensive end.
6 points so far for Jackson. 5th lead change already in this ballgame. Here's Bruno Fernando, just 3 points tonight. Rotation around to Ayala. He'll have to launch with a shot clock winding, and he hits again.
And the little jab step gave on C.J. Jackson, gave him enough room to create the space to get that jump shot off.
Another one of those freshmen from Mark Turgeon's team that has a lot of folks thinking this could be an awfully special season.
It could be. You know, it's the focus that you have to maintain through a tough conference like the Big Ten, especially for freshmen.
Wayne Washington missed a couple from deep. Took one inside. He's got 5.
Well, you talk about someone having a promising future. I mean, a young man that doesn't have a conscience in regards to if I miss, so what? The next shot is going in, and you love to see that kind of confidence. The next step for him is just getting better at this end of the court, which he's dedicated himself to.
A whistle, a foul before Ayala attempted that 3. Lamont Simpson with the whistle on C.J. Jackson. You talk about Dwayne Washington, and you talk about a guy who, I don't know, you know, he moved from the Midwest to California. Can you imagine a guy, Jim Jackson, who would move from the Midwest and go to California to go to high school?
Yeah, I can imagine.
You can imagine
I can imagine
you
why.
can imagine a guy moving out of the
what were you trying to say? Because I live in L.A.? Is that what you're trying to say? It was an easy decision. And plus, they were paying me to do it, too. So it's good. But you know what? I think it helped him a lot. Being out west at Sierra Canyon, excellent program, play heavy competition. That's why he's so confident when he played.
When he played with great competition. Scottie Pippen's son on the team.
Kenyon
Martin's son, KJ, on the team. His uncle, of course, Derek Fisher. Long pass ahead. Andre Wesson with the catch and the foul on Aaron Wiggins.
And first thing you do, you settle your defense, you finish it with the defensive rebound, and then now you're out in transition. See, this is an area, I think, where Ohio State, when you tend to struggle in your half-court sets, one, try to get yourself to the free throw line to get some points. Second, create some offense in your fast break or secondary break to see if you can get some easy layups. That eases the pressure off of your half-court offense.
One more for Andre Wesson. Andre all put back together again after that Bucknell game in December where he had 2 of his front teeth go out, cracked another tooth.
Thought this was hockey?
Man.
I mean, what was going on? But, you know, basketball's not physical.
No,
okay,
no, not at all. It's a finesse game, right?
Yeah.
I thought that all the way up until the assistants started pulling teeth off the floor and taking them to the side. Free throw good. Wesson hits on both. He's been a little better of late. 9.5 points, 5.5 rebounds over the last 4 games for Andre Wesson. Ohio State with the 3-point lead. Here's Cowan. Still scoreless. And Cowan trying to get himself to the free throw line.
Well, the utilization that time of the curl got him open. A little hesitation, able to get inside.
Justin Arns with the foul. Anthony Cowan and Mark Turgeon trailing by 3 on the road. Basketball heats up the hardwood with a doubleheader on Fox. First, number 25 Indiana takes on Purdue, followed by St. John's battling Butler. It all tips off at 1:30 Eastern on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Safe to say that the state of Indiana is not going to be very productive beginning at about 1:30 Eastern tomorrow afternoon when Indiana and Purdue lock horns.
Yeah, and I have the pleasure of calling that game as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, especially that Indiana is struggling a bit, lost their last 3. Purdue's still trying to find itself, but you know that rivalry. You already know.
Oh, yeah.
The emotions are going to run high in that building. tomorrow afternoon.
Well, you've got two of the best backcourt players in the country in that game. Carson Edwards of Purdue is having a phenomenal year. Romeo Langford is a supreme talent at Indiana, just a freshman.
And only getting better. I mean, the scary part is he's going to be better the second half of the Big Ten season than what we're seeing right now.
Anthony Cowan with his first 2 points of the night. Talk about supremely talented guards. Anthony Cowan having a fantastic year for Maryland. Arms will launch from deep. A little bit short. Wesson battling for the rebound. Ayala diving for it. And the foul as Arns came sliding over. But it's going to be Andre Wesson who gets whistled.
Well, and that's why coaches work on the slide drill to go after the ball. The first person to get to the ball, to get to the ground, usually either recovers the ball or then both recover and pick up a foul. And Ayala at that time was the first one to get his knees dirty.
And then Wesson on the back of Ayala gets called for the foul. So the Buckeye lead is 1. Maryland to inbound.
Well, you see Ayala right here handling the basketball, again, freeing up Cohen. And keep in mind, when you're heavily utilized on the offensive end like Cohen, if you miss your first few shots, that's okay because you're going to get multiple opportunities to be able to get your shot, so you don't have to force anything.
13 to shoot. Now 10 on the shot clock. Jump pass inside. Good turnaround from Daryl Morsell.
Yeah, but how about Morsell playing peekaboo on the baseline? He made himself available for the bailout pass when Cowan got caught in the air.
Jackson off the fake. Gets into the paint. Got Fernando in the air and drew the foul. Bruno Fernando picks up his first, team's 4th.
And we'll go back. When you play with a backcourt partner for a little bit, you kind of know each other right here. Morsell just hiding on the baseline. How about the pirouette inside to finish softly off the glass? And that's just two guys that just know each other very well.
C.J. Jackson, good start to the night. 6 points for Jackson.
You know, the funny part is that, you know, a lot of guys who may have gotten benched from starting might have an attitude, might be upset. So we never worry about that with CJ because sit down and talk with him. He understands why chosen to make a change, and he accepts that. And it's rare that you get players, especially a senior, that can fall into that category where they accept their role, they're confident, and they're still going to come do their job whether they're starting or coming off the bench.
Fernando, the double team, comes flying at him. Backs it out. Cowan will launch and hit the 3. Anthony Cowan at 35% from deep, but he's hitting 24 points per game over the last 3. And Cowan can erupt at any time for Maryland, and the Terps with a 2-point lead. 16 on the shot clock as Woods tries. No, but another offensive rebound. Kyle Young getting to the rim.
Now, how about this? The activity of Kyle Young has shot 50% or better in every game this year. And he's going 10 for 12 in the last 3 games. That's KYG, understanding or knowing your game.
Fernando knows his game. He's had 2 jumpers tonight from 12 to 15.
Yeah, well, he's not going to stretch it beyond the 3-point line, I can tell you that.
His coach is bringing him over.
You better believe it.
Woods off the fake up top to Jackson. Entry to Wesson. Good seal down low by Wesson, but he waited too long. Young there, though, to clean it up.
Well, listen, Smith had to come over Jalen on the double team. So when Wesson missed, guess what? It left Kyle Young completely open on the backside.
There's a 3 for Smith. That'll cause some problems. Not on the floor, but it'll cause problems in the room. Guess you got Bruno Fernando going, now wait a minute. How come you're letting him shoot?
No. He compared himself to Caleb Wesson. Why does he get a chance to shoot from 3 and I can't?
Maryland up by 3 and a turnover. Morsell to the other end for the 2-hand flush. Five-point Maryland lead, largest lead of the night so far for the 19th ranked Terrapins. This is what Mark Turgeon's team has done, a 6-game winning streak, their 3rd 6-1 start in the last 4 years. There's a different feel from this team. The 3 off the heel for Jackson and Fernando with the rebound. Cowan on the push. Thought about it again.
Yeah, you gotta keep thinking about it too.
Inside, there's where Fernando does his work. Down low, and he'll go to the line for one more.
Smart play. But offense creates defense. You're able to get in transition right here. A soft pass by Young. Marcel able to get out in transition. And it's all about the timing, but the pass, it didn't have a lot of steam on it. When Young threw it out, that was an easy steal, but smart play for, I think it was Muhammad that was trailing behind, not to foul him, to put him to the free throw line.
One more for Fernando. 7 points, only 1 rebound, and 2 assists. There's been a lot of games this year where Bruno Fernando's assists have doubled up his rebounds.
Because he's more of a willing passer. And when you're a willing passer, you accept the double team, you draw him in, and guess what? The cross-court pass to an open teammate gets you either a quick 2 or 3. Now you put the defense in a precarious situation on how hard or how much they want to continue to double you when you beat them with the pass.
And Young with a screen, he's going to be called for the foul, and a turnover back to Maryland. When you talk about Bruno Fernando's passing, it was one area that Mark Turgeon said he really struggled with early when he got to Maryland, but he is so dedicated. He loves to work on his game, and he just worked on passing, catching, passing, catching. Man, no, it sounds like another football thing, but Fernando really tried to improve as a passer, and it's paid off.
Well, check this out. You are who you are, your personality. If he's a guy that works extremely hard on his weaknesses and his personality, he's going to do that with his basketball game. See a travel here. So that's why Fernando being able to dedicate himself to do the little things like catching the ball, receiving it, looking at it first, and then going into my move. My free throws, I have to get better in order to help my team. And also, if you want to double team me, I'm going to make you pay with the pass. That's all a great reflection of who he is as a person.
Jackson looking inside. Nowhere to go with it. Good battle down low with Wesson and Morcell.
Great help that time by Jada Smith on the pick and roll.
Washington hammered inside. He'll go to the free throw line. No fear from young Dwayne Washington, penetrating right into the teeth of the defense. Ayala's foul will send him to the line next. For Maryland, they've opened up the 8-point lead with 3:54 remaining in the first half, and there's really not one star tonight for the Terrapins and Mark Turgeon's squad. All 5 starters with 5 points or more in this ballgame.
And that's what you call spreading the wealth, because now you become extremely more difficult to guard because it's multiple players on the court that are contributing on the offensive end, so you can't zero in on one. And keep in mind, we talked about Cohen being a little quiet, but yet and still you have the complementary players around Fernando and Cohen that are doing their job.
Washington with one more free throw to come. Yeah, leading the way for Maryland, Morcell and Fernando each with 8. Anthony Cowan with 6. Or rather with 5. Ayala with 6. The starters have been balanced tonight from a scoring standpoint as the rebound poked into the air to Ayala. There's Fernando against Weston. Fernando in trouble. Cowan trying to find some room to move. The pull-up jumper, and Fernando the offensive rebound. New shot clock. Cowan doesn't care. The 3 from deep, not going to go, and Washington the rebound. Maryland did have their first offensive rebound of the game in that series. Couldn't cash in on it, though. Here's Wesson. To feed to Young after the double, bucket and a foul.
Every team needs a Kyle Young, and what I mean by that, he understands his role. Okay, we know the double team is coming. My man is coming off. I dive to the basket and present myself. Even if he doesn't get open, he draws the defense, and now the cross-court pass becomes available. So it's all about doing the little things for players to be able to contribute. And that time, excellent job by Kyle Young. Just couldn't complete the free throw.
He was originally a commit to Butler and then joined Chris Holtman here at Ohio State.
That's a good find. I mean,
yeah.
I tell you, the blue guys that make championship caliber teams go, you need to find them.
Morcell, good pass, but Lindo couldn't convert on the jam. He'll go to the line after the Young foul.
Yeah, and we gave Kyle Young a lot of credit. And that time he turned his back. And Lindo was able to sneak back door. But how about the pass to feed Lindo inside? And again, you got to keep your head on the swivel. Once you turn your head and your back, it's over. And that time Morcell able to catch him back door. Then from the top view, just a little late on the recovery.
Young trying to wave off the substitution from Musa Jallo. He picked up his second foul, though, so he may not have any choice as far as whether or not he stays in this game.
Yeah, and when Caleb Weston goes out the game, he uses Kyle Young as their post-up, quasi-post-up player inside. Not as effective, of course, as Caleb, but he's an excellent passer when he does receive the pass inside, so you can play through him at times on the post.
Lindo, the 8th Maryland player to score in this first half. 1 for 2 at the line. And the rebound to Jackson with the Buckeyes down 6. Washington looking for Wesson. He's got him. Caleb Wesson, no double yet. Now it shows from Lindo. Washington on the baseline. 5 on the shot clock. And a whistle underneath. Jackson's 3 not going to go, but the confidence is certainly there for C.J. Jackson as the foul on Ricky Lindo Jr. is his second.
You know, one thing about Luther Muhammad, one thing I love to see, on that post pass coming out from Caleb Wesson, I like to see him be more aggressive. Look for that shot or a quick drive. Instead, you allow the defense, when you hold it just a second longer, to recover. So now it takes away the advantage 2-on-1 you had on the weak side, but that's an area that as a young player you begin to see a little bit more as you get more comfortable in the court.
And he's one of those rare kids that came in as a high schooler with a reputation as a defensive-minded player, not an offensive-minded guy.
Yeah, but he has the offensive tools to be really good in this league. Again, you have to see it and feel it and be comfortable committing to it.
Oh, good post play by Caleb Wesson. He stood his ground, and that forced a little bobble from Fernando, Jim, and it threw off the whole play.
Well, also, Fernando got off balance because he wanted to shoot the basketball once he got inside right here. But how about that on the weak side and didn't gather himself to make the pass out. So excellent defense, and Caleb Wesson was able to use his chest and upper body to throw it off Fernando inside.
Caleb Wesson's had a terrific year. He's been player of the week in the league once this year, 12th in the league in scoring at over 16 points per game. C.J. Jackson with the Buckeyes down 6 to Wesson for 3. Morcell with a rebound. There's Cowan now. Maryland in this 6-game streak's been getting to the free throw line and converting. They're 5 of 6 in this first half as Morcell's fadeaway won't go. Fernando, big-time rebound, but the tie-up stops the play. Wesson able to get it tied up, and Maryland will inbound.
Yeah, that was a grown man rebound that time by Fernando. He kind of slapped it. I think the officials may have to check the ball to see if some air came out afterwards. Watch him inside right there. You know, but how about Wesson again? Not getting himself out of position to commit the foul, caused the jump ball. Now Maryland has to take the ball underneath out of bounds.
Yeah, Wesson so far tonight, no fouls. Fernando just once. Both big men doing what their coaches wanted them to do, stay on the floor.
Well, not taking chances away from the basket and picking up those cheap fouls.
Morcell back to Cowan with 1:25 to go first half. Morcell's been aggressive tonight, trying to drive it in, but an offensive foul.
Well, remember I talked about the commitment from Washington on the defensive end? That time he anticipated the move, slid his feet to the right, and was able to force Morcell right here with that elbow and that chicken wing to pick up the offensive foul. Little steps, progress is what you want to see from your young players, and now we've seen Washington in a couple situations on the defensive end kind of taking that step towards where you can be trusted with more minutes because you don't hurt your team defensively.
That's a big step for a freshman to take, isn't it?
Oh, well, think about it. In high school, bro, you can just go out and score. Defense is not mandatory in the majority of high school. So okay, when you're the man.
Yeah, when you're the alpha dog scoring 28 a game.
That's my defense is my best offense. That's what guys say, you know. But
and their defense on one end, offense on the other for Dwayne Washington.
Well, coaches give you a little bit more leeway because now you made the commitment to be a better defensive player, and you're not breaking down the team defensive scheme by not being involved and concentrating on that end of the court.
Maryland's lead is 4. Morcell to the free throw line. Wiggins up top. Smith will try from 3, but he's fouled, and that's a frustration foul right there for Chris Holtmann as Wesson picks up his first.
Well, Wesson that time, knowing that Smith could shoot the ball from deep, was late on the closeout, and once he lunged, instead of going straight up, his weight took him forward, and that was an easy call for the official.
Jalen Smith, 6'10" freshman, not a liability now. Of course, he'll miss one as I say this. It's the first one. In conference plays, it's 79% at the line.
Well, Kevin, you know him for jinxing people at the line. I'm just saying. I didn't say it, but the word on the street is that when you say something like that, people generally miss. Yeah, I could talk about it.
Sure.
He's good.
I used to pop into Columbus like in the early 90s, and I would just walk up to people and ask them about Jim Jackson shooting free throws.
Well, you know what? You worked my trip tonight, so I wasn't worried. That was good. I still could make mine.
Smith hits all 3. What a luxury, though, for Mark Turgeon. You've got 2 bigs that you like to play at the same time. You want to play them late in games, and you don't have to take either one out because they're a liability at the line.
But also they complement each other because Jalen Smith can play on the perimeter, so they're not clogging up the lane with 2 guys trying to post up, and now they can feed off of each other.
Washington with the 3. Big bucket for Dwayne Washington. He's got 11.
And what the response right there by Washington.
6th game in double figures, and Maryland will use its timeout with 25.1 seconds left in the half. Boy, Ohio State was looking for somebody else to step up as a scorer. Tonight, they found somebody.
Well, I'm telling you, it's amazing when you feel good about how you're playing overall as a player. Then everything gets going. Your teammates kind of feed off of that. Dwayne Washington doesn't lack in confidence, okay? We know that, which is a great sign to have. And again, to be able to get to production from the perimeter play, I think is huge for Ohio State in regards to how they can operate with their inside play.
Yeah, earlier in the season, asked Chris Holtmann about Dwayne Washington, and he said one word: fearless. That's how he described it. I mean, this is 3-4 games into the season when they're just getting started. But he said, look, we saw it all summer. We saw it in the fall. This kid is a fearless player.
Well, and a lot of times you'll see a highly recruited player who may be offensively gifted in high school, but sometimes the transition to this level, it doesn't correlate, okay? This young man, he has the offensive tool. It's just a matter of him carving out more minutes, doing some of the other little things that is needed. You see a little zone defense this time by Chris Holtmann coming out of the timeout. A little 1-2-2.
A second differential here between game and shot. Cowan with 3 to shoot. Kicks it out. Wiggins with an open 3, and it falls. And Wiggins' 3 sends Maryland to the locker room with a little momentum. 45-38. The Terrapins by 7 at the break.
Cowan Jr. being effective. This is what makes him a special player, the willingness to give up the ball, and that's a huge momentum grab for Maryland.
So halftime comes with the road team trying to steal one away from home in a tough conference to win on the road. Maryland 45, Ohio State 38 at the break in Columbus. The Jeep Grand Cherokee halftime report is next. Big Ten basketball is sponsored by Jeep Grand Cherokee as we welcome you back to Columbus, Ohio, where the home team's down 7 at the break, 45-38. Alongside Jim Jackson, Kevin Kugler back courtside here in Columbus. Ohio State got this thing even. Maryland on the road with a great response.
A great response. Again, we talked about the youth on this Maryland team. How do you respond in adversity? Well, we saw it. They didn't try to do it themselves individually. They did it as a team, whether it's on the offensive end, but more importantly, they got the stops that made it available for them to get out and run.
Well, you look at these halftime highlights, and you see for Ohio State, they needed another score. They found one in Dwayne Washington.
Well, Dwayne Washington, we talked about the confidence. It's not an area on the court that he feels, that he doesn't feel he can score in, whether that's inside the arc, we're here, a little pull-up, or being creative off the dribble, little spin move to get inside. You need to see more of this, not only from Washington, but other players for the Buckeyes.
And on the Maryland side, well, you got the three-point shooting of Jalen Smith and a little defense thrown in there as well.
But it was the others. You're talking about everyone. You got 8, 9, 10, 11 players that played that put a bucket that on the score sheet. So when you have multiple players scoring the ball outside of your primary offense, that's going to be a good thing, obviously, for Maryland.
You could argue our Jeep halftime stats, the highlighted part were 7 offensive rebounds, 12 second chance point. That's kept Ohio State in this game right now.
Well, it has, but look at the discrepancy with the three-point shooting. 7 for 10 for the Terrapins, only 3 for 13 for the Buckeyes, and you wonder why if there's a disparity in the numbers in regards to 45 to 38.
Our stats brought to you by Jeep Grand Cherokee as we get set to start this second half of action. Great start to the weekend of hoops here on FS1 and Fox. Double dip tonight, of course, Indiana-Purdue on Fox tomorrow to continue the Big Ten road trip of Jim Jackson.
Who's that?
Indiana-Purdue tomorrow.
They play tomorrow?
They're playing tomorrow. You're going to be there.
It's not a big enough game. They need to put me on the bigger game.
That's a big game. You'll be there right there tomorrow.
Yeah, I'll be there. And then I got to go to Michigan State to see when Maryland travels there on Monday. So it's a nice little road trip for me.
That's not bad.
No.
See some good teams.
Yeah, beats working, brother.
Inside lob, Wesson got it around the rim.
Well, that time, the ability to swing the ball and move the defense, and did an excellent job of Caleb Wesson walking Fernando up the lane and presenting a passing lane, allowing him to get inside and reverse to get that basket.
Chris Holtman thought it should have been an and one. He thought his big man was held. We've got a whistle, and it's going the other way.
Again, your post-up position starts early. Wesson able to fend off a little bit. How about avoiding the contact and the block shot using his left hand on the opposite side of the rim?
Jackson up the floor with it to Andre Wesson. Wanted inside for Caleb Wesson. Instead, Luther Muhammad will have to kick it out now. Jackson for 3. And a whistle underneath and a foul down low. Fernando and Wesson battling, and this one going on Caleb Wesson.
Picking up his second thought, maybe the lower body right here, but see the grab, the release, and then the push underneath. You know, now, again, these are 2 big bodies. Could you have kind of let that go a little bit? Maybe, but I think it was the initial contact, the hooking of the arm, which may have called the official to call that.
So here's Fernando on the perimeter now, looking for Cowan. 13 to shoot, into Fernando. Jackson able to poke it away, and Jackson able to secure it for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, good hands by Caleb Wesson, and once again, the first player on the floor was Jackson, able to recover the ball. Let's see if the Buckeyes can take advantage of it right here.
Muhammad around that Wesson screen at the top, got down the right side of the lane for 2.
Well, and Luther Muhammad was able to probe the defense before they were set. Now the help couldn't come. And he used a nice little soft touch off the glass.
And Cowan with his pocket picked on the way to the rim. Muhammad on the push to Jackson. Beat Morcell on the baseline, and 2 more for C.J. Jackson. Muhammad to Jackson, turning into a lethal combination.
Whatever Chris Holtman said to his Buckeyes at halftime is working, because defensively, their intensity has risen. Buckeyes within 1.
First minute 40 of this second half, thanks to Ohio State defense.
Well, when you want to get yourself back in the game, you got to stop your opponent. That's the name to the game. And in the second half, Ohio State was able to come out defensively and force some early turnovers. Again, the quick hand by Wesson. Now you're able to activate your fast break. probe the defense. No one set. Luther Muhammad able to slither his way down the lane and use the glass to knock it in. And then C.J. Jackson from back to slap the ball away once again out in transition, able to score. Ohio State forced 9 turnovers right now, converting 11 points off of those 9 turnovers.
Turnovers on the first 3 possessions of the half for Maryland, sparking this 6-0 mini run for Ohio State. Back to Fernando to try to turn things around. Here's Morcell for an open 3.
A little miscommunication that time on the weak side of Ohio State to get Morcell open.
Keyshawn Woods. The pass over to Jackson, who wanted to go down low, couldn't get there. Andre Wesson with 15 to shoot. There's Muhammad again. The jump stop with the hook, and Fernando with the rebound.
Good defense that time. Tough shot, but Luther Muhammad can make those type of shots.
Has a poke free. Harassing defense from the Buckeyes in this second half. Cowan backs it out. The 3 in the corner is short. Fernando wrestling for the rebound. And a foul.
Listen, I want to go back to the three-point shot. If you're double team, it works one-on-one coverage, okay? You see the defense. The pass can't come directly to Morcell. That ball has to go out top to Ayala, and then the defense can rotate. If you allow that cross-court pass, now it's going to be tougher for you to recover because you're going to have like a 2-on-1 situation. Excellent find that time by Fernando.
And problems now for the Buckeyes because Caleb Wesson just sat down with his 3rd foul. Kyle Young off the bench to replace him just picks up his 3rd foul.
And if you're Maryland, you're smart by rotating the basketball, letting the offense kind of go through Fernando a little bit, force Ohio State to have to double team. You see it right here.
Knocked away by Young this time.
And the patience right here. You got the ball back. You're Maryland. No need to rush the situation.
Fernando, one-on-one against Young. Woods shows a double. Morcell with 5 to shoot, trying to find some room. The turnaround dies on the back of the rim.
Excellent defense by the Buckeyes. Woods able to cut it off and get back in front.
Jackson, floater over Ayala, a little bit short. Smith the board for Maryland.
Important minutes right here for the Buckeyes. Kind of got back into this game. Wesson is going to be on the bench for a few ticks. Buckeyes have to stay solid defensively.
Cowan just 5 points tonight for the Maryland leading scorer. 1 for 5 from the floor. He's going to take it to work, though. Cowan driving inside on a blocking foul.
Last possession, the defense, you see them locked into Fernando. Woods, excellent job of digging down, but then look at the closeout. Able to cut Morcell off, force him into a tough shot. That's the kind of defensive effort, multiple effort that you need.
Cowan to the line, 85% of the year. Maryland 9 of 10 tonight at the free throw line. Ohio State 7 of 10. This Maryland team, they have learned how to play in close games during conference play, and it's really starting to show. There was no, sometimes with young teams you see panic when they're on the road, things start to narrow a little bit. No sign of that with this very young Maryland team.
How about this? So they're 5-1, 4-0 in Big Ten play when trailing at the half. I mean,
what young team does that?
What young team is able to respond like that on a consistent effort? You know, you get one game, let alone you're 5-1 when trailing at the half.
And 8 of their 18 games have been decided by single digits. And they've won 4 games in conference play by single digits, by 7 or less.
Well, that's called not beating yourself in late game situations, which, again, a lot of young teams do. But because you have Cowan, I think, at the point guard, he settles everything in.
Fernando with the runner, count the bucket, and he'll go to the line for one more.
You know why I love this play is because now you center Fernando in the middle of the court. And Kevin, once he's in the middle of the court, it's hard to have to defend him. And Fernando showing that he got some skills and a nice soft touch. Maryland up 8.
Jim Jackson the mayor of Columbus? Well, this is one of the reasons why. February of '91 against Indiana. You hit the shot to tie the game. You said, good job, fellows. Then in the second overtime with a score tied, you gave it up. The 6-foot jumper wins the game from Lee. 3-hour game, 22 ties, 21 lead changes. Epic Indiana-Ohio State game. Bob Knight left disappointed. Jim Jackson left elated. One of the all-time greats, Big Ten Freshman of the Year, 2-time Big Ten Player of the Year, 2-time All-American. Jim Jackson was so good, the UPI said, after we name you College Player of the Year, we're going to disappear and never return. Jim Jackson, number 4 pick, spent 17 years in the NBA.
No, that'd have been 3 more years with checks. It was only 14.
That was only 14.
So I wish I could have. You know what's ironic about that? That game is the most memorable game that people recognize from our area.
Yeah.
Is that the best game? I say, well, my most memorable is the Michigan State game that year. Jamal Brown sinks 2 free throws. That gave us a share, or at least a part of the Big Ten title that we haven't seen here at Ohio State since 1971.
Wesson with a big 3, can't hit it, and Fernando the rebound. That plays the atmosphere in that building for those games.
Well, St. John's was unbelievable at the time. And, you know, we had a great group of young men who kind of believed in what Randy Ayers was teaching us in regards to growing as a team, and no selfishness, guys just wanting to win.
Fernando, the little runner, falls. Largest lead for Maryland now as the Terrapins starting to pull away, up 11 on the road.
Well, Fernando knows that he can be aggressive against Wesson.
Big 3 for Washington. That's not going to go. And the Buckeyes, desperate for some points, finding none.
Yeah, well, Buckeyes have to be careful not to fall in love with shooting jump shots. They got to put pressure on this Maryland defense by driving the ball to the basket, maybe picking up fouls, getting to the free throw line.
Offensive foul there. Morcell got rid of it, but standing in his path, Dwayne Washington takes the charge. Buckeyes, though, now have to figure out how to convert it on this end. They haven't scored in 4 minutes.
Well, again, you don't want to settle for jump shots. Run your offense. Let Caleb Wesson touch the ball a little bit. See if he draws a double team. You're confident that he'll make the right play. If so, feed your offense through him.
He's back out there with 3 fouls after Young picked up his 4th. The lob inside, Fernando able to get in front and flip it back into play. Excellent work by Bruno Fernando.
Yeah, but Washington has to take 1 dribble to the baseline, and then he can drop the pass inside. That time there was a poor passing angle to try to enter the ball into Wesson.
And an offensive foul on Jalen Smith. Second on Smith. The turnover for Mark Turgeon's squad gives it back to Ohio State.
Well, how about the work that time by Andre Wesson, not allowing Smith to just post him up. He went to the baseline and fought the post up. That forced Jalen Smith to use that off arm to pick up an offensive foul.
6 minutes gone in this second half. Buckeyes down 11. Maryland's won 6 in a row. Buckeyes have lost 3 straight. Jackson around the Wesson screen finds Andre Wesson. Andre Wesson driving it right at his brother, and he gets it over the front of the rim.
But it's funny how things work out. That time Andre Wesson dribbled into traffic, but because his defender was off balance, he bumped into Fernando and his brother Wesson inside. That just opened up the lane to get that easy shot. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, Kevin.
When you're in the midst of the wrong end of a 10-0 run, you'll take anything.
And listen, it's like if I sink in a nice putt that I know I had no business making, on the card is still a par, baby.
Fernando, you just talk about it a lot more after you do that putt. The 3 in the corner with 1 to shoot, and it falls for Aaron Wiggins.
Who made the pass? It was Fernando.
Driving it inside. Oh, what a cleanup by Ricky Lindo. But then the Buckeyes able to get it back in, and now Jackson down, Ayala down.
Yeah, making plays again. Fernando, instead of forcing a shot, yeah, man, spread the love a little bit. Find your teammate in the corner. Aaron Wiggins able to knock it down. Now we have multiple players at this end of the court. Ayala is down. Jackson is up. And it looks like Ayala on after the block shot from the back side right there. And again, that's just catching, unfortunately, the hip of Keyshawn Woods. And let me tell you something, Kevin. Listen, this wood, it may look good, but it don't give. And it's hard. So when you hit it like that, especially on the hip and bone, it's painful. Hopefully it's a stinger for Ayala that he can kind of walk it off a little bit.
Yeah, he's clearly in some pain as he's helped to the Maryland bench.
Let's see if they end up taking them to the back or just to the end of the bench. Again, you hope it's just a stinger from hitting the deck at that awkward angle.
10-point game in favor of the 19th ranked Terrapins. Trying to go 7-1 to start conference play. Even Bender off the bench. And a turnover. Andre Wesson now for the Buckeyes. Caleb Wesson off the fake. Oh, his pocket picked. Anthony Cowan with the pilfer. Cowan to the other end. The ball tipped into the hands of Sorrell Smith.
Great transition defense. It looked like maybe Maryland was going to take advantage of that turnover, but the Buckeyes got back.
Cowan turn the corner, gets to the rim, and he'll go to the line. It's certainly not been his best night, but he can perch in a lot of ways.
Well, still, but he's effective, and he's been able to make game-winning plays on the court. It may not be scoring the ball, but by playing defense and setting up his teammates, making the right pass, more importantly, the leadership he provides allows teammates to operate with a different kind of freedom. Okay, and that's what leaders do.
Third foul on Andre Wesson, so foul trouble mounting for the Buckeyes. Young with 4, each of the Wessons with 3, and Jaden Ledee checks in for the first time tonight, the 6'9" freshman from Houston.
Well, that's been an issue with this Ohio State team in regards to fouls. The last 3 games, they committed 75 fouls compared to their opponents at 51, hence sending their opponents to the free throw line much more frequently.
Some turnover after the fake. Cowan will motor up the floor with an 11-point lead. Little crossover, lost the handle. Wiggins, the 3. And off the rebound, Washington will look to push. He's been effective in transition as Dwayne Washington. Maryland got back.
See, right there, Luther Muhammad had the baseline open, kind of hesitated and gave it back up, and that's something that he's going to have to learn to see. Commit to that move, because I thought he had his shoulders and his right leg by his defender, but he chose to come back to the defense and give it up.
Bender taken away. Jackson the steal, and Jackson the easy 2 to bring the Buckeyes back within single digits.
Man, well, you know in the scouting report that you have to be wary of C.J. Jackson when he's around you. So if you don't protect the ball, as we've seen on multiple occasions, C.J. will pluck it away from you.
Cowan pushed out. 10 to shoot. See if Cowan goes to work here. Bender comes out to offer the screen. Cowan with 2 to shoot, nowhere to go. Got to force it up from Smith, and the air ball brings a shot clock violation and a Maryland turnover. Timeout on the floor. Can Chris Holtman's team use a little defense to get back in this one?
Well, they can. If C.J. Jackson can do this, you end up getting an easy bucket on the other end. Can it continue for the Bucks?
By 9, Mark Turgeon moments ago with his team.
We got to keep being aggressive on offense. We got to make good decisions. Come on, Even. Got to be stronger with the ball, Even. Okay? The guys, what are they doing now? They're pushing it. We got to get our tails back. Okay? They can take a quick shot over our hand. The 5 guys boxed out.
Well, 2 things. 1, don't take your foot off the pedal. If you got an opportunity to be aggressive offensively, that doesn't mean force the shot, but we still want to put pressure on the Ohio State defense. And if we don't have it, we have to get back on defense knowing that right now Ohio State wants to get out in transition to try to get some baskets or some layups inside, some easy baskets.
See if they can get that started here. C.J. Jackson's had a knack to get to the rim, as has Luther Muhammad. That duo has been able to get some stuff done. Washington, 13 on the shot clock now. Can Ohio State get it going? Jackson, a little ankle breaker, and the pull-up way off the mark. Falling down with a rebound, Wiggins outlets it at Maryland the other way.
And $20 move, $10 shot on that one.
Here's Smith inside. Double team comes. The youngster unable to connect on the first try, and the ball taken away before the second.
And that's where Jada Smith has to get stronger to secure that rebound.
Washington, big three for the Buckeyes. A 12-point lead cut in half. Now just 6 for Fernando to work with against Wesson. Good defense by Wesson. 7 to shoot. Cowan with 8 points, launching from deep. And he hits! Oh my goodness! Anthony Cowan with an uppercut from long range.
No, that was an uppercut that came with the left hook because he waved off the pick and roll. He knew he wanted to get to a spot and he used the dribble to get some rhythm for that shot.
LeDee trying to answer, he cannot.
Yeah, but that's not the shot you want. LeDee probably could knock that down, but in this situation, after giving up that three, you want to work the offense a little bit more, be patient, get the shot that you want.
There's Cowan. Oh, the lane parts for him. He gets to the rim. A lot of contact, no call. And Ohio State going the other way. Washington the push to Jackson on the baseline. Wesson left alone. And the timeout with a 6-point game. 8:40 to go in the second half. And the deep ball bringing it back.
Well, deep penetration. My man with no conscience. Washington able to knock it down. But Cowan, you give me room, I'll make you pay. This is what I do.
And then the big man. He says, you know what, that looks fun. I'm going to shoot the three. And he does.
Yeah, Fernando's on the other end jealous. Like, I'm telling you, Coach, I can do that.
I think he's got a little notepad in his shorts. He pulls it out every time and goes, there's another three. I'm going to write this all down. Get into the film room next week. Say, now, Coach Turgeon, let's look at a few different highlights that I wrote down I want to point out. And they're all Wesson launching from deep.
Yeah, but you know what? The beauty about that play when Wesson got the shot, he was the beneficiary of great offense. C.J. Jackson, by penetrating deep on the baseline, he sunk the defense below the free throw line. That allowed Caleb Wesson to kind of walk right into that three-point shot, get his shoulders squared, feet set, and just let it go.
Good ball game. Maryland by 6, 8:35 to go. What a way to start your weekend.
Hey, but think about it, Kevin. How many times have we not been able to say, oh, good ball game in the Big Ten? You know what I mean?
Every night, the games are competitive. They're tight. Howie Schwab waffles between 9 and 10 Big Ten teams in his bracket every week. Both of these teams, by the way, in his latest bracket today, Ohio State at 9, Maryland at 4. The three from number 4 won't go, and Fernando the rebound. Long push ahead. Wiggins to the rack.
You don't want to give up those easy baskets.
Muhammad trying to get 3 back. Pinballs off to Fernando. And Cowan says, I'm going to pull on the brakes a little bit here and just walk this thing up a bit.
Understanding time and score and momentum. Run your offense, allow it to work for you to get these type of shots.
Halfway down, that one rolls out.
Yeah, but the offense worked for him that time. He got the shot that he wanted. But a couple of passes, shifting the defense. Now you find yourself open to take the kind of shots that you're comfortable making.
Wesson. Andre Wesson around to Jackson. Now 10 on the shot clock for the Buckeyes. 4 Maryland players collapse on Jackson. The ball loose, and a tie-up is going to give it back to Maryland.
Well, how about the help that time by Jalen Smith, knowing that Andre Wesson has been struggling a little bit from behind the arc. He was able to get inside.
Timeout on the floor. Maryland up by 10 on the road.
Gotta keep playing.
I mean, it's an easy formula when you have Caleb Wesson. Sure. I mean, it really is, because initiate the offense inside. We're not a great three-point shooting team. Let's take this chip away, get some points. Okay, and then when we do score, or if we miss, we have to be more solid on the defensive end. We can't take chances and allow this potent Maryland team to get open opportunity.
The problem for Caleb Wesson is the guy he just walked by as he walked out on the floor. Bruno Fernando's the guy he's going against. It's one thing to say, let's get him going inside. The problem is you got a guy who's got his 13th career double-double tonight, working against you down in the post. That's been a tough matchup.
Well, it has, but you can't come down and just directly post up Caleb Wesson. The ball has to move, get him moving, and now he's able to catch with a little bit more space and go to work. If the double team comes, he can make a play.
Cowan the feed to Smith, and then it's tied up. Good defense by Ohio State. Gets the turnover. Now they're back to work on offense.
Yeah, guess who? It was C.J. Jackson once again. Jalen Smith, a young player, did what coaches tell you not to do. Don't bring the ball down. Easy tie up that time by C.J. Jackson.
Jackson around the Wesson screen. Now to Andre Wesson. Tough catch for Caleb Wesson. Just kept it in play.
Yeah, well, got to improve the passing angle again. That time a tough entry pass.
And a hand check on Morcell. Just the 4th team foul on Maryland.
You know, part of the problem with post entries, because you're not posting up players a lot, guys don't work on it. And I know coaches in practice do. That time, again, we saw with Washington earlier, Dwayne, take the ball to the baseline, one dribble. That gives Wesson more of an angle. You can see his body and get him the ball inside.
Well, that's a good post feed from C.J. Jackson. Andre Wesson had the big guys collapse on him, but that one got in there in a hurry.
Well, that was just good backline recovery that time by Maryland to get back.
Fernando on the run, collides with Wesson. That's an offensive foul.
Yeah, but that was an easy call, and that was a mistake by Cohen, and he's pointing to himself saying, I shouldn't have given him the ball. Because now you put Fernando in a tough situation when you give him the ball right here and you're asking him to make a play off the dribble. That was an easy charge to take by Wesson. And how about the presence of mind to get outside the arc?
11th second half turnover for Maryland. 17 for the game, but they've got the 10-point lead.
Yeah, but here's the problem. They still got the 10-point lead.
I'm waiting.
Hey, that was it.
Jackson, 15 to shoot. Caleb Wesson inside. Smith able to flick the rebound to the corner and let Fernando get it.
There's a bunch of hands contesting that, but that was a beautifully executed play. Wesson just unable to finish.
Fernando was holding his right shoulder after that play. Looks like he may be all right now.
If you keep getting hit by Wesson, I'm thinking you're going to hold yours a little bit too.
I would prefer not to find out.
Come on, Kevin, suck it up. Come on. It's a physical game.
Woods inside is fouled. Fortunate for Woods, he was a little bit out of control in that traffic. This is where Fernando got bumped here. Watch this a little.
See, right? Okay, this time it was on the little fella.
Keyshawn Woods.
Yeah, but sometimes it's the angle in which you get hit.
Yeah, pointy shoulders.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be by a big guy. It's just the angle.
Let's talk of hitting people. Almost scoot over a little bit more. Tough pass.
Yeah, it was a tough, because Keyshawn didn't see behind the defense. He knew that Caleb was open. You can lead him to the baseline, but the defensive player on the backside read the play all the way.
Fernando looking. Cowan gets bumped down by Muhammad. 13 to shoot. Maryland's turned it over 18 times. Their season high is 19 as Cowan got a little space, and that elbow jumper is smooth.
Got away with a little push-off, but again, Muhammad that time off balance, and Cowan, again, when you're a scorer, you know your spots on the court. He was able to get to that 15-foot pull-up. Knock it in.
Jackson curling. Buckeyes need a bucket. Keyshawn Woods trying to provide it. Rebound for Fernando. That's number 14 for Fernando. 13 points, 14 rebounds. Cowan with 10 to shoot for Fernando. Now Fernando trying to spin baseline, muscling it up, and Wesson with the rebound.
Good defense.
just his 6th board, 9 points for Caleb Wesson. Wesson will launch from deep. Mark Turgeon will use that play to point out to Bruno Fernando. Good defense closing out.
Yeah, another settle counter right there for the Buckeyes, and taking a quicker shot. See what Maryland wants to run here and see if they can run a pick and roll with Cowan under 10 seconds.
He's taking the air on the ball right now. Ohio State scoreless over the last 5 minutes. 4 to shoot. Cowan working. Cowan penetrating. The scoop not going to go. The rebound to Muhammad looking to push. Bounces to Woods. Woods swatted by Fernando. Muhammad can't finish, and Wiggins the board. Oh, Bruno Fernando emphatic with the swat.
And boy, did Maryland get off the hook, because when Cohen drove, it really only had one player back, and the Buckeyes a little slow in transition. Couldn't take advantage of that.
Morcell turning the corner. Double team to Smith, and Smith with the flush. And Maryland flexing its muscle on the road, up 14, and a timeout taken by Chris Holtman. The Bigs making big plays for the 19th ranked Terrapins.
It's all about the hustle. Get back, defend, take away something easy. Then when you do that on the offensive end, get an easy bunny.
State 56, 2:47 to go in this second half. Now this league is so good this year. Michigan State and Michigan, the only undefeated teams left in this. Now Maryland's 3rd in the conference standings. Are they the 3rd best team in this league right now?
Well, they're playing like it. You think about it, you go back again, they were picked 7th in the preseason poll because they were so young. So that was fair.
Sure.
Now they coming out and proving it. You're talking about potentially winning 7 in a row. Okay? All right, going on the road, especially in the Big Ten, to win these games is difficult. But compliment to the young players and the savvy veterans that just stay the course. Again, the game is not over here, but it goes back to the right kind of leadership you have from your upperclassmen, and then what Mark Turgeon said once again: his young freshmen willing to be coached and taught. That's huge when you're talking about becoming a great team in this great league.
Boy, time after time, Coach Turgeon's teams have figured out ways to win games, whether it's they have a lead, a big lead that dwindles like it did last time out against Wisconsin. They figure out a way to hold off the Badgers. They beat Indiana by 3. What really started this run, not the Radford win, which was technically the first win in the streak, but the come-from-behind win against Nebraska that started back into conference play. Nebraska looked like they had that game won in Maryland. Stick Smith hits that shot to win the game late, and they've just gone on from there. That was a big win because it was their first win over a ranked team since 2016.
Well, here's the thing. You see a foul right here is that when you do things the right way, you give yourself a chance to win games.
4th foul on Wesson a moment ago. Let's check out the game summary sponsored by SoFi. Get your money right. And the summary shows a 59% shooting performance, 10 of 16 from 3. Turnovers will plague Mark Turgeon when the coach looked for something to pick at, but defensively they've been sound. Offensively they've been good. They've got a big lead on the road in conference against a good Buckeye team.
All right, you like hip-hop music, man? A little bit, you hip a little bit. That 59% was called going to get that bag.
Yeah.
Okay? Maryland offense went to get that bag because they knew that if they operated by sharing the basketball, okay, you had enough scores around the perimeter around Fernando to be successful. And they've got it in a multiple of different ways. So you go back to what changed for this Maryland team. When you win against Nebraska the way they did, now it re-emphasizes what the coaching staff has been talking about the whole time, about stay the course, get better, give yourself an opportunity to win.
Well, winning is important for anybody, but when you have a young team that sees how to do it against another veteran good opponent, as Jackson hits the three for Ohio State, that has to be the best teaching tool Mark Turgeon and his staff can have.
No, it is, because you re-emphasize that. But again, it goes the other way, too. We see a lot of young teams that have struggled with winning or losing, and it snowballs the opposite way, okay? But this young team, I'm telling you, man, it's just... It's just, I think, I'm not going to say amazing from that perspective, but just the dedication to these young men just working together.
Well, I know Michigan and Michigan State are undefeated in this league. This Maryland team will give everybody in this league problems. Cowan's one of the reasons why, with 2 to shoot, muscling that one up, can't get it in. And the rebound tipped out to C.J. Jackson. Jackson has it poked free. And with a 1:25 to go, they'll inbound once more. Sunday, Todd Gurley and the Rams take on Drew Brees and the Saints in the NFC Championship game presented by Intuit TurboTax Live. Coverage begins at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific on Fox and the Fox Sports app. Jackson finds Wesson for 3. Not going to go. And it's been the story tonight. 6 of 25 from 3, 6 of 26 from 3, and out of bounds to Maryland.
It's a tough shooting night overall because Ohio State, they don't possess that one guy on the perimeter that can just go get it. Maryland has a couple of guys that can do it, so it puts a lot of stress on your offense. And back to that Sunday game, I'll be in East Lansing at a good friend of my house. He happens to have a cigar room in his house.
Oh, you're going to try cigars?
So it's going to be a few cigars, a couple of drinks that have ice in them.
Nice.
A little bit, you know, to kind of keep
water.
But you got to stay hydrated.
Yes, you got to stay hydrated. Cigars can dry out.
Yeah, that's right. Got to stay hydrated. This drink may be a little brown at times, but you take your time to sip it.
Soda.
You take your time to sip it. You don't rush it.
Sure.
You got to enjoy the flavor.
Very nice flavor.
Yeah. And that's for 2 games on Sunday.
It's good. That's a big day for you. You've often said that on big days, you'd love to spend it in East Lansing, Michigan.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I have a ball. You know, I can go harass Coach Tom Izzo. My friend lives down the street from him, so I can go harass him and just knock on his door.
Well, you know he'll be watching. He loves football.
Oh, yeah, big time.
Cowan weaving through that defense. Maryland up by 11. About to grab 7 in a row. Maryland 57% from the floor. No Ohio State opponent has had a better day against the Buckeyes. This Maryland team hitting on all cylinders. Cowan will launch with the shot clock going away, and Cowan with the exclamation point from the 419 area code.
See, now you just clowning. See, that's just unnecessary.
And Maryland doesn't have to shoot it again. 11 three-pointers tonight, ties a season high for Maryland. They've shot 58% from the floor, and the Maryland Terrapins, 7 straight wins. About to be 7-1 in the Big Ten Conference.
Wow, that's some people how difficult it is to win at home, but more extremely difficult to win on the road. And to weather the storm that the Buckeyes put against this Terrapin team says a lot about where they're at mentally.
The Buckeyes fall to 12-5, 2-4 as the Terrapins are now 7-1 in conference play. Our final: Maryland 75, Ohio State 61. Now let's check in with Mike Hill, Steve Lavin, and Casey Jacobson. They're in our FS1 College Hoops studio.
Yep, getting you ready for game 2 of our doubleheader. Eric Paschal, big man for Villanova, scored at least 20 points in 4 of his last 5 games. Villanova's won all 5 of those games. They're 4-0 in conference. About to take on Xavier, and yeah, Quentin Gooden. He's back after missing the last 2 games with a knee injury. Expected to play tonight for Xavier, a team that's won 2 in a row, so we got some Big East action coming up very shortly. Mike, Casey, Steve Lavin hanging out with you. Just saw